everybody. Welcome to Group Underworld, or the translation in Spanish, Grupo Inframundo. That's right. And here we are today with the screenwriter of Destroy All Neighbors and also Malacostraca. That's right. That's the,
Yep.
Malacostraca. Yep. And that's right. Here is the director of Malacostraca, screenwriter, and also the screenwriter of Destroy All Neighbors, Charles Pieper. That's right.
Hello,
Charles.
Yes. Hi, good to be here.
Remember that you can watch right now Destroy All Neighbors. You can watch it in the best streaming for horror. That's right, Shudder. Shudder, the best streaming service for horror maniacs as us. Also, if you are watching this in Mexico, so if you don't know how to watch Shudder, go pay VPN and watch Shudder. Let's hope that someday Shudder will give us this magical gift of bringing Shudder to Mexico, because
it should already be there. You guys
right.
love horror. It's bizarre. I don't know. They're expanding slowly, I think. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we need it. We need it. There are a lot of maniacs, so yeah. And also, if you want to watch the short film Malacostraca, that is free on YouTube in the channel of Alter. That's right. Yeah.
Yep. It's on Alter. It's also on my Vimeo, and it's also on Shudder as well as part of an anthology season called Beyond the Dark. But the highest quality upload is on my Vimeo for sure.
So. Awesome. Then I needed to repeat it for the third time. That's awesome. Well, first of all, let's talk about you. What is your story? I mean, how was this beginning of you wanted to make horror films? You wanted to make scripts. What was the story? You know, you was born, and then what happened?
I've loved horror from day one. I came out of the womb holding a copy of Fangoria magazine, like straight up. My parents are awesome, crazy theater people. They're artists. My mom is a classically trained ballerina who became an actress and director on the stage. That's how she met my dad, who was a set designer, and he also he played in a band. In the 70s, my dad drove a used hearse that he painted bright green, and he played the pipe organ. So he used the space for what used to be for the corpses in the back. He used it for the pipes in his organ and for his bandmates. So there was no way I wasn't gonna come out like this, right?
Wow.
So yeah, they let me watch whatever I wanted as a kid. They'd fast forward, the adult stuff, but all the gore was fine, because even as a kid, I knew about special effects. Tom Savini was my first idol. There's an insane photo of me as a kid with Tom Savini when I was at my first Fangoria's Weekend of Horrors. I can send that to you.
Wow.
Yeah, I was watching, I think the first 3 horror films I saw Pumpkinhead, An American Werewolf in London, and Creepshow, probably when I was 7, and that's it.
Awesome.
I was that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a special effects artist and a creature maker, and I made horror comedies on my old VHS camera with my parents in my living room, and some of those are online as well. So I've stayed the course. I'm 37 now, and I'm the same person I was as a kid, just with a little bit more knowledge in me, hopefully.
Well, that's an incredible origin story, you got this thing, and I think you are the dream of Charles Pieper kid, when you were this is the dream.
Absolutely. I feel so my inner childhood self is so invigorated by the success of Destroy All Neighbors and by everything else that's percolating, because I graduated film college in 2009, and I've been living in Los Angeles since 2009.
Okay.
And most of the time, I've made my short films and animations, and I'm just like a crumb bum crawling to the street corner to get a pricey coffee, right? Feeling like a piece of shit. But even when I felt bad, I never changed who I was or my interests, and we got this amazing movie out of it, and there's more stuff percolating, and yeah, I feel like I'm walking taller. I used to be and now I'm walking, I'm oh wow, it's great. Hard earned, but yeah, I feel good. If I told look, Freaked was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid, and if my kid self knew he'd end up writing something that appealed to Alex Winter so much, he didn't just want to produce it, but be the comical antagonist in prosthetics, I would have exploded. I still feel like I'm exploding. It's nuts.
Yeah, I imagine that's like the dream when you are like working with the star of your childhood and
Yeah.
he being a character of something that you right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like the cream of the cup, as Macho Man says. Wow. Yeah.
Absolutely. And he's an angel, man. Like straight up, there's no finished film without his participation. Him
Wow.
coming on board was the final step that unlocked Shudder to us and just opened it up. And beyond him just being a horror crazy guy, he's a strongly intellectual person. He started as a child actor on Broadway. So he comes from a performance, you know, everyone's like, yeah, creep show and Fangoria. And he's like, yes, but also no theater and Japanese kabuki and like mask acting. Like he's like as big in a Carl Theodore Dreyer as he is George Romero. And I love that because I love a lot of I love the silent films. I just rewatched Cabinet of Dr. Caligari last night, for instance.
Awesome. Yeah.
And yeah, he's also just a nice guy. Like there's always that danger, like don't meet your idols. And that's probably statistically quite true, but he is an exception to the rule. He's just humble and chill and a very nice guy.
That's incredible, man. I love to hear that about Alex Winter. He looks like a nice guy, but now having this confirmation and also getting this stuff of the kabuki and the theater is like, wow. He's like a goddamn pizza, you know? Like you got this pizza and you think that it will be only about cheese, but no, man. There is mushrooms, there is pepperoni, there is freaking onions. Yeah.
He's got everything on his pizza and it's great. And just yeah, it's been a blast. I'm still kind of in awe of him. You know, I've hung out with him a bit making the film and just at meetings and stuff. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, this is crazy. This is so cool. Wow. He's great.
Yeah, I imagine. No, that's a dream. Also, let me know. You make this short film in 2008, Malacostraca. This was I don't know what was the inspiration about making this short film. I mean, I don't want to spoil to the people, but the ending is hardcore as fuck.
Yeah,
it's hardcore as fuck.
Malacostraca is about as bleak and gnarly as you can get. Destroy All Neighbors is like a silly romp in the park, and Malacostraca is like, fuck you, you're dead.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like, so it started as a short story I wrote in college back in, I want to say 2007, 2008. I was in this wonderful creative writing class by the teacher, Jonathan Papernick. And that is a great name for a writer. Papernick? Are you kidding me? And he called me on my bullshit. And by that, I mean, when I was younger, I was a little afraid to go deep and psychological, and a lot of my writing was very silly. It was very Douglas Adams, very sci-fi kind of. And he was like, dude, stop being so goofy. Like, do something that scares you. And I was like, oh. So I really brainstormed, and out of the blue, I got this image in my mind of a crawdad, a crustacean, crawling up to a woman sleeping. And I was like, oh, that's gross. And then I thought about it further. What was grosser still wasn't that image, but it was the fact that me as a man came up with that. Like, the creepy thing is, what if a dude was looking at this? And instead of yelling out to wake up the woman, what if he was getting turned on? What if he wanted to see what the fuck was going to happen? So it all grew out of that. And it was very uncomfortable to write, but I wrote it, and it was my favorite short story. I never in a million years thought it would become a film, but jump forward about a decade. I'd been in LA a long time. I kind of built out a group of friends. And also, most important part, I had worked off and on for years at Gabriel Bartolos's special effects company, Atlantic West Effects. He is a legendary effects artist. He did Leprechaun. He did all of Matthew Barney's Cremaster Cycle, Basket Case 2 and 3, Brain Damage. The list goes on. Texas Chainsaw 2. I had grown up watching his creatures. And then I lucked out and I got a job at his shop. I was an assistant painter. He had been commissioned by an eccentric Middle Eastern oil baron to build a miniature of all of Los Angeles County. Wow. All the buildings. This miniature was maybe like 30 feet long, 30 feet wide. When I came on board, they'd been building it for already 2 years. And my job was to create some of the molds and paint it. And the whole thing then got fiber optically lit from below with timers. So the lights of the city would change over the course of the day. And all this work ended up getting installed into this oil baron's mansion in Beverly Hills. They carved out the floor, put the miniature city down, and then put plexiglass over it. So this guy could walk over the city like a James Bond villain. All this work, worthy of a museum, never to be seen by the public. But it got me a good in with Gabe, and we became friendly from pretty much the first day, because I walked in and I didn't just recognize the horror movie posters, I recognized a replica of a sculpture, the last sculpture by this insane Polish artist, Zukalski. And I fucking love this guy. And I was like, holy shit, is that a Zukalski? And Gabe was like, whoa, dude, you know Zukalski, fuck. And we've been friendly ever since. And then in lucky coincidence, after the paint job ended, this really fucked up Norwegian artist named Bjarne Melgaard commissioned Gabe to do stop motion animated shorts that he wanted to loop in the art galleries he was doing. Gabe remembered I came from a stop motion background, so I ended up animating and editing these shorts for Gabe. So yeah, I became friendly with Gabe. So when I had the Malacostraca script ready and I felt it was strong enough, I reached out to him and I was like, would you do my creatures? And he said, absolutely. So he collaborated with me. He built these crustacean babies and these puppets. And all the while, I had been telling him about Destroy All Neighbors because it had been, long story short, it evolved out of actual frustrations I had with a real neighbor. And also the director had a horrible neighbor too, and we brainstormed. But I was literally being kept up at night by the loud neighbor and then going to work for Gabe in the morning at his shop. So we did Malacostraca, and then years later, Destroy All Neighbors came to me, and he was my #1 pick to do the effects, and we got him, and it's been a blast.
I mean, I see that you had the luck of getting along with your inspirations, you know, man, because I mean,
it's been a dream.
It's been a dream. I mean, when I watched some of the special effects as such movies such as Leprechaun or From Beyond or stuff like that, you are like, fuck, I want to make that shit, you know? And that's incredible, man, because I think it's like creating the magic, you know? You start to become like a magician, like a maniac magician.
I love that look, that description, because to me, film is an alchemical process, right? Like, you come up with an idea, and if you're lucky, you get the right people with the right energy to take what's literally just words, ink on a page, you fucking make it real, and people build the sets, and they build the creatures and the monsters. And if you're even luckier, you release it, and the right people find it, and it creates an energy. Like, yeah, it's magic with a K, man. Like, it's deep. It's like Destroy All Neighbors is silly as fuck, but to me, it is art, and it's emotional, and yeah, it's lovely. It's filmmaking is what I've wanted to do since I was a kid, and Destroy All Neighbors, I think, has opened the door to me to do more, and it's insane.
Yeah, and I mean, when you make this as you said, you get the correct people for the correct project for the monstrosity you will create. It's like Destroy All Neighbors and Malacostraca, they do what they are intended to, you know, this emotion that you want the people to check, you know, like you want in Destroy All Neighbors to they laugh in a moment. You want in Destroy All Neighbors to they think like, oh, that's gross, man. Or or maybe they are like, fuck, he just decapitated his neighbor, right? So it's like these emotions that you are creating. And also with Malacostraca, you are in another person, you know, you are here, you are with a cake, and here you are with a, I don't know, like a tequila. I mean, it's like
you need one after watching it, man. Yeah. And again, without spoiling anything for people who haven't seen it, I constructed Malacostraca. It's kind of like a trick. It starts off and you're like, oh, this is going to be like a funny, silly, horny, like monstery thing. And then it gets a little darker and darker. And then I pull the rug out. Like, the ending is like, oh, you thought this would be funny? No, this is the real world. This is the worst. This is literally the worst thing I could think of. The most horrible thing possible. Have a nice day. Goodbye. And seeing that it toured the fest circuit, it played in a lot of horror festivals before the pandemic. And I flew to a lot of these festivals, and hearing the audience reactions, it was such a trip. People really lost their shit.
Yeah, I was. This is something incredible to see when it happened to me when I go to. I was on the premiere of Thanksgiving from Eli
Oh,
Roth.
cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So there was Eli Roth, no, and I was checking that Eli Roth was. He know what it will make something like, I don't know, making a reaction, an extreme reaction of the public. So he was like, I don't know, in the scene of Pinocchio. You watch the film of Thanksgiving?
I actually haven't seen it yet. It played at the Vista. I missed it. I was back east visiting my parents, but it's on my queue to watch.
You will love it, man. You
I'm
will love it
excited,
because the
yeah.
practical effects are sick as fuck. But the
That's
thing
what
is
I've
that
heard, yeah.
Eli Roth was like, you know, watching all the people, how they will react. And when something happened, you watch the face of Eli Roth and he was like smiling. And that's something incredible as a creator, that when you see that the moment that you want the people to react or feel something and you do it, it's incredible. And something with Malacostraca.
There's nothing better.
Yeah. And with Malacostraca, the plot twist that is fucked up as hell. And if you haven't watched that short film, people, watch it and be open-minded with the ending, because it is fucked as hell. And I love it. I love it that, I mean, you were in a festival and you were watching like how those the people will feel at the ending, you know? And that's incredible. I mean, that's the magic of horror.
I mean, it's funny because, you know, it played in horror festivals, so the audiences were primed for it. But even so, I pissed off a lot of people, and a lot of people loved it. And I had a lot of parents come up to me and they're like, "Oh my God." I'm like, I know. Like, yeah, it's, again, without spoiling anything, but to that end, I have written a feature-length screenplay expansion of Malacostraca, and we'll see what happens. I don't know if it'll be the next thing, but it's similar, but also goes into some unexpected places, and it allows a lot more to be seen with the characters. And I'm quite excited about that script. At this point, I like it more than the short. Yeah.
Wow. I'm looking forward for that future length, because that has potential for be a full movie, you know, like, I love it. Also, with Malacostraca, it's interesting. I got this point of view. I don't know. I got a problem when someone starts to creating stuff in this head of this is the meaning. But I got this feeling like when we are watching at the start, this is not spoiler because it's the start. At the start, the main character is like watching how this like kind of bug craft, something like that. It is like entering to the vagina, I think, of the girl. It's something like
that's fair to say.
You tell like that. And the thing is that it is interesting because this person, this main character, it is like inspiring, you know. He's like getting inspiration for his story, for his screenwriting, something like that. And it is interesting because as a screenwriters, I think we get inspiration about the most crazy stuff and the most normal stuff, you know. So I don't know, when you write this part of he getting inspiration while the bug is in the vagina and the girl is like, oh, she's getting like this orgasm. Like, I will not give the spoiler, but the thing is that this is the start, and then you start like checking like this inspiration of the character and the, I don't know, like the intensification of what he's making and what he's doing about his job. That was like the idea, you know, like you were inspired a little bit when you get the ideas for a screenwrite.
Absolutely. I mean, it was a visual metaphor of, you know, when you get an idea and it comes out of nowhere, it feels like you've almost given birth to a thing. Like it's inherently, well, it's maybe sexual, not like physically, but it's like, you know, it's this release. So I was definitely playing with it on the page, and it's just, again, because similar, like that visual is what popped into my head out of the blue with no thinking in 2007. So that was the germ of it. And it's like, where did that come from? I don't know. But also it's just, I can't tell you how weird it felt to direct that, because we had actual crawdads. Those were all real. They weren't, you know, and luckily for me, that lead actress she's a friend of mine, and she also likes bugs, so she had a blast. The hardest
Awesome.
thing to do was crawdads don't want to go to people because they're like, this is a big thing. I don't want to be by it. So if you watch the raw footage, it would like go up to her foot and then turn away, and I had to keep gently nudging it, and that's why so much of it is the camera's point of view, because the actual crustacean wouldn't really go there.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
yeah. She also, for the record, that lead actress, her name's Amber Bollinger. She's now the lead singer of this incredible punk band here in LA called Broken Baby. She's like a
Awesome.
21st century blondie. I directed a new music video of theirs last year, and her energy, like, she is insane on the stage. I highly recommend her music's online. You can find it on Spotify and elsewhere. And they tour around a lot. She's great.
Wow, that sounds amazing. I need to hear it. And
Yeah.
folks, hear it. No, it sounds incredible. And I mean, the actors are really good in this short film. You really believe it. And also, yeah, with the actress, you think like when she's with the baby monster,
Yes.
you are like, fuck, this person really loves the baby. I mean,
Yeah.
you get the plot twist, but at the
Yes,
beginning,
for
it's like,
sure.
she really is like carrying like a baby. So for me, it's like awesome, dude. That's
Thank you.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, we wanted to play it. It's inherently comical because of what it looks like to the husband and the audience, but we wanted to play it straight. The horror, again, without spoiling it too much, but you know, the audience is perhaps picking up around the edges, but the horror was like, no, that's her daughter, that's Emily. It's real, she loves it, and there you go. Like,
That's awesome. Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's incredible.
thank you.
Yeah. And also I got some questions about Destroyal Neighbors.
Sure, of course, yeah.
As I always want to ask, like, and I think a lot of people and screenwriters and fans got this question. How does it feels like to make the screenwriting with other people? Because I know that
Yes.
the screenwriter of Destroyal Neighbors was with other two persons, right?
Yeah, there was 3 of us total.
Okay.
So let me put it this way.
Yeah.
If I was more of an egotistical grump, this film wouldn't have happened, because I would have scuttled it by being, oh, it's my story. Yeah. But I wasn't, because screenwriters in particular, we have to think in the large picture, like, what is better, us holding on to a story we don't want to let go and it doesn't get made, or accepting creative collaboration and allowing it to grow beyond us, and then we get a movie made and it's out. So the journey of this, it started a decade ago, because I had the bad neighbor, Josh Forbes, the director, had a bad neighbor, and we just started brainstorming and writing it out. So I wrote the early drafts for him. I probably spent a year and a half, 2 years as the sole writer on it. And towards the end of that process, Josh Forbes reached out to Jonah Ray Rodriguez, the main actor, and he was like, we've been developing this script. It's like Barton Fink meets Delicatessen. We think you would be the lead. And he was like, I love those movies. Hell yeah. He read the script, really liked the script, but he was like, what if we make the main character kind of fit me more and my sense of humor? He's not just a stand-up comedian. He plays in a punk band and he's a musician. So I was like, we have an actor attached. Hell yeah, let's make him more comfortable. So that's when Josh Forbes reached out to the second writer, Mike Benner. He's a professional writer. He's most known. He was one of the staff writers on Bob's Burgers.
Awesome. Awesome.
And I'm like, you want someone from Bob's Burgers to make my script funnier? Hell yeah. So he ended up doing his own drafts entirely. We emailed back and forth, but we weren't stepping on each other's toes. He spent about a year or two doing his drafts. He brought in the prog rock. He united it with music to make it fit Jonah's character in real life more. And then at the end of that process, we thought we had a great script and we sent it around and nobody cared. It was rejected from every studio, every independent company. They were like, Jonah Ray isn't big enough. He's not popular enough. This is too silly to be scary. This is too funny to be bad. Like, they were also, the big note we got was, this is like the 80s. Nobody likes that. Nobody makes movies or TV that have 80s vibes anymore. This was before Stranger Things. That's how long ago it was. So the script just kind of died, and I made Malacostraca, Josh Forbes did a lot of music videos, Mike Benner was doing other stuff, and it got resurrected by Jonah Ray at the start of the quarantine in 2020.
Okay.
He'd become friendly with Alex Winter because they realized they lived in the same neighborhood. They were literally neighbors and
Wow.
started to see each other on the street. And when Jonah Ray saw Bill and Ted 3, and Bill is like the beefy muscle guy in the prison, he was like, holy shit, what if he plays Vlad? So he sent him the script, and it was like, hey, we're working on this. Would you like to maybe produce it or be Vlad? It took about a week of thinking, but Alex Winter at the end of the week was like, hell yeah, I'll play Vlad.
Awesome.
And suddenly with him attached, we were able to send it to Shudder, and they were like, holy shit. And they bought it outright overnight. But then, since the script had been untouched for a couple of years, Alex Winter, rightfully so, was like, well, how about we clean it up a little? I have some ideas. So they ended up bringing on the second punch-up writer, who's a stand-up comedian named Jared Logan. And he spent about a year writing his own version by himself again during the quarantine. So we couldn't even meet each other. And the end result was this beautiful amalgamation of my stuff and Mike's and Jared's. And the end film, like, I can watch the film and be like, that's me. Oh, that's them. But it's beautiful. And yeah, to any screenwriter, I say, don't be precious.
Okay.
Let your stuff out. Like, if someone else wants to work on it and you think they're on the same wavelength, go for it. Because if I had held on to this, there would have been no Jonah Ray, there would have been no Alex Winter, there would have been no movie. And now, having let my story go to other people, the door has been opened to me to be like, well, I have other scripts I've written that I want to direct, and maybe now it could happen.
No, and I mean, this is incredible because I imagine something like the brain laboratory of Frankenstein. You know, they get the ground brain, and the monster starts to make a lot of shit in the village. But the thing is that for me, this film has a lot of heart, you know?
Yes.
And I think if this movie was a monster, as I wanted to check, I think it was like someone get the three correct brains, or the brain, the heart, and the guts, and you combine it, and the monster is incredible. Because the three people has this combination that really has like a good mix up, you know.
It's an unholy trinity, man. It really just works. And,
that's right.
And to speak of that, the film has heart. Absolutely. Again, the film is kind of a trick because it's like you think it's just going to be a gross splatter comedy, but it ends up, it's a metaphor for creativity and kind of being stuck in a rut and using your demons to push forward, right? And Josh Forbes is all about that. And we wear our heart on our sleeve in this film. The heart might be spraying blood in your face, but it's still heartfelt.
Yeah, it really, because I think one of the problems right now in some movies, you know, like blockbuster, like Warner and Disney, stuff like that, is that the screenwriters got this idea and they're like making it, and maybe there is 1, 2, or 3, but the thing is that sometimes the bigger the productions and stuff like that, they want to put hand on the script, no? And they want to make their stuff as they think is the business. But the thing is that broke the creativity. And I think there is no problem on making a script of 2, 3, 4, 5 people involved. But the thing is that they need to be in the same channel, you know?
It's about being on the same wavelength. Exactly.
That's right.
And to Shudder's credit, they didn't give us like almost any notes. They were like, we're going to buy this script. We love it. Go make it. It was a tight shooting schedule for sure. And we could have, as with any film, we could have had more time and money, but to their credit, they let us do it, you know, and the end result is entirely a Josh Forbes film, and it's entirely my script and everyone else's. And they didn't pester with it. They didn't mess with it. It was lovely. I have nothing but love for Shudder.
And that's something incredible, because Shudder, I think, is like the production that has the style for Destroy All Neighbors, you know. It's like, it's like, I don't know, like Shudder is the cow and this is the milk, you know. It's really
that's
compatible.
A great analogy.
I mean, surely it does. I mean, it's incredible, and it's incredible to have these such productions that let you, as a creator, inspire. and
Yeah.
they push you forward to do your shit. And I think that's incredible, because if they put like restrictions in things, and what do they think the people will not like?
Right. Yeah.
Where is the creativity in that? No?
No, it would be restrictive inherently, and the end result, again, not to say that everyone loves this end result. You know, not everyone's in a horror comedy. That's fine. They have 99% of all other horror movies they can watch. But yeah, Shudder, if it weren't for Shudder, I don't know where a lot of this filmmaking would go or get made. We need patrons of the arts who just let the artists be themselves. So
yeah. And also you got your, I think this is important, you put your George Forbes, you and the other two screenwriters, and also gave the practical effects and makeup. I mean, they put the footprint on the movie.
Yes.
And you say this movie is from them. Maybe there are some other horror comedy, gore stuff, right?
Sure,
but,
yeah.
But this is something unique, and this is and also the Alex Winter footprint. You know, this is something magical.
Thank you.
Yeah,
yeah. It wasn't. You know, it's always hard to kind of let a script go a little bit, but at the same time, knowing it was in the hands of like some of the best people in their respective fields, I was like, okay, I can lean back. I don't have to worry about this that much. And I was right. It's great.
That's awesome. Okay, so last, we talk about that of the script, Industrial Neighbors, and that's something incredible, and that's a good advice for always to all the people that wants to be a screenwriter. Think about that. I know that this is like your baby, like Malacostraca. This is like your monster baby.
Yeah.
But you need to understand that you need to share that baby to others.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes it's necessary, and something magical will happen, you know?
Yes.
You will get this monster incredible that you will love. So yeah, that's a really good advice. Because I don't know, sometimes in filmmaking, there is like this kind of stuff that they want to be like a little bit individual, like sometimes a screenwriter, and it's something like, I don't know, we need to make like sometimes collaboration, and that could bring us some fruit on the table, you know, like that seed is the fruit of a lot of great stuff. So
yeah, no film is made alone. You know, we can go on and on about auteur theory or the director, but a great director has a great team behind them that helps support the vision. And when everyone works in tandem, you get a better result.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's really true. I was talking the other day with Josh Forbes, in fact, when we were talking about like the Destroyer Neighbors, and I told him like Destroyer Neighbors is like, and this is also in the writing aspect, you know, like Destroyer Neighbors is in the part of the crew, is like eggs and sausages that are delicious, you know, when you combine that stuff, it's delicious. The toast, the orange juice, all that kind of stuff. Josh Forbes told me that the cinematographer, the photography
William
person,
Stone, great guy.
that's right. He told me that was his first like a horror film or something like that. And I told
he's
him,
not very into horror.
That's right. But I was like, don't worry, man. I mean, it's incredible because you got this breakfast, you got the eggs, you got the cereal, you got the toast, you got the I don't know, the fruit, and maybe you don't know, but the coffee will be a good mix, and the photographer is the coffee, you know, because maybe he's not into the horror, but wow, this is he did a really incredible job. So I mean,
the film looks so good. I'm so happy about the cinematography. It's gorgeous.
Looks wonderful. I think, and the 80s aspect is like just astonishing. You know, I love it. I love that part, and I think a good director, it's like a good chef. You know, with the good ingredients, the quality ingredients, and every one of you, it's like an incredible ingredient. And you're like a great McMuffin, as I say, Josh Forbes. So because I love McMuffin, so that's why I always
they're great. They hit the spot.
And also I want your opinion on this. What do you think about right now this part of right now in horror, but you know, it's like some kind of movies, not all, use the practical effects, which are great as on the 80s, on the 90s, middle 90s, because they start to become trending this kind of stuff of digital effects. I'm not a hater of digital effects, but I think that the magic, that the spiritual of horror is the practical effects, you know, because there's something more precious in watching a head exploding with a practical effect and the brain in the floor, and you are like, you know, like
I agree.
digital.
It speaks to the creative collaborative, it's physicality. Even the greatest CGI, there's a part of, well, my brain at least, I know it immediately. And it takes me out of it a little. So the fact that I would say 98% of Destroy All Neighbors is practical. Like, sure, we digitally erased wires and puppeteers, and for the Ultra Vlad battle, it's clearly, you know, a digital background from a green screen, right? And embers flying around. But I like, the monsters become a work of art if they physically exist, and the actors can interact with them, and the lighting is there, it's hitting their face. Like, anything I get to do, I want to lean into practical effects, because it was what I watched growing up. And sadly, the only reason it is encoded in our brains as 80s or 90s is because CGI took off so quickly and so strong. And CGI can be a wonderful tool, but it shouldn't be the end all be all. I want to also, just selfishly, I want to keep working with Gabe and, you know, all these effects artists. Like, if I keep making things that need puppets, I can call them up and be like, time to go again. Like,
and I mean, it's like they're in the United States. Do you know churros? Well, here is like something they talk about it with the churros. If you eat one churro, it's delicious. If you eat two churros, it's delicious. If you eat three churros, maybe kind of delicious. But if you get more churros, you are like, fuck, I don't want more churros. This is so sweet. I will have diarrhea, you know? And so that's it. That's the part with digital effects. If such movies as Marvel right now, Star Wars, some stuff like that, use so much digital effects, so much churros, they will get this diarrhea. So I think you need like this mix up of churro and the chocolate milk, you know?
Hell yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we will get diabetes with this with this stuff.
It happens, but
I think
whatever.
But I think that's a myth. I mean, it's incredible to have such technology that we can make some different stuff and combine it. But if we just use digital effects, I don't know, like New Line Cinema, like right now there's a lot of digital effects. I think that the magic stops a little bit, no?
I agree. It's less of a magic like magic show and more of a just inherently digital trick. I don't know. Again, like I come from a stop motion animation background. Before I was doing live action, I wanted to be an animator, and I built puppets, and there's something to be said about the physicality, like off screen, but like, this is a creature I designed a couple of years ago for a creature sculpture class, and it's just a model. But I want to see this come to life. I want to have this animate one day. So, if it's a physical creature, I just love it more, you know? Like,
I was watching also your magazine of Monsters of Filmland.
Awesome.
I remember King Kong. That's the best example. I don't know.
Willis O'Brien, man, those early, and Jim Danforth, those stop motion animators. One of my favorite little bits of trivia is, you know, when that film came out, not a lot of critics even understood what stop motion was. And there was at least one review that was like, they made it so realistic, even the monkey's fur quivers in the wind. And no, it's just because they were touching it every frame. So, but there's something more lively about it. When you can see the thumbprint of the artist, it's just more exciting.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't know, the practical effects right now of Willie O'Brien, they're still magical, you know?
Absolutely.
They absorb you in this world. I don't know, right now with the King Kong that is digital, sometimes, you know, like it's good when it comes out to the cinema, but I don't know.
It doesn't age as well, and it
That's
doesn't hit
right.
as hard in the long run.
That's right.
Yeah, a puppet's gonna look like a puppet forever. So as long as it's interesting looking, it'll look interesting. I mean, nothing about Destroyed Neighbors is realistic. And there have been some, you know, letterbox reviewers or whatever who they just don't jive with, and they're like, it looks fake, it looks dumb. I'm like, yeah, it's a cartoon, it's a live action cartoon, but it is real, and I like that.
Yeah, that's true. That's really true, and I love it. And I think it's incredible that when a screenwriter also is in relation with the practical effects, it's just magical. Wow,
That's a
wonderful. Also, well, the last question, I think, well, the last stuff of this interview, it will be, well, this page, Group Underworld, or in Spanish, Grupo Inframundo, we got this segment called Artists from the Underworld, you know, in which we try to show the young people, the future artists, future monster creators, that we want to show them the inspiration, like you know, from your work, being an artist from Underworld. You're an artist from Underworld. So the thing is that, what advices will you give to the folks watching this to make to be a screenwriter, a horror screenwriter, or a practical effects creator? What did you recommend to all the people so they can see that this is real? This is something that you can do. The horror stuff being something.
It can happen, yes.
It can happen, that's right, yeah.
It's tough because every path is very thorny and weird and random, but the only thing I can truly say is lean into your obsessions. Pursue and write the stuff you want to see. And you don't even know if there's an audience. Because remember, for 10 years, this film didn't get made. And I felt like a crumb bum. I was like, Jesus Christ, like, what the, like, but we didn't deviate from it. Like, if you can find a way to eke out an existence, get those day jobs, get whatever shit you got to do. I've had weird day jobs here in LA, you know, like, if you can be like a fish at the bottom of the deep ocean and just keep swimming forward towards whatever you want to do, and you keep building up a crew over time, you will get there. You can get there. You just have to you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because, you know, being right here in the heart of the beast in Los Angeles, I watched my peers run laps around me. A lot of the people from my grade that I graduated with in Emerson, they're like the kings and queens of cinema right now, and they're awesome. But I you know, for years I was watching them, and I'm like, man, I can't even get a script off the ground. And even Malacostraca, that took a half a decade of development. I would not film it until I had enough money to pay the cast and crew properly. And I didn't come from money. So there was this huge fundraiser, and it just went on and on. But yeah, stay true to yourself, but accept that everything will most likely take way longer than you want. But don't give up, I guess. Because, yeah, if Josh Forbes or I, or even Jonah, if we had just been like, man, it's been a couple of years, screw this. If Jonah hadn't decided to email Alex Winter, there'd be no movie.
That's true. That's a wonderful advice, and that's really realistic. I mean, and yeah, love it. Love it, love it. And I think this will help a lot of artists from Underworld to see what is the magic, and that the horror stuff and the blood and the brains and everything, it's real, and you can make it real, and you can live off this. So
yes,
so yeah, that's true. Well, thank you very much, Charles Pieper. It's incredible.
Thank you.
You're an inspiration, and it's incredible that we can watch your work on Shudder and on YouTube and
It's
Vimeo.
everywhere.
You told us, right? It's everywhere. There are no excuses. You can watch it.
I have a huge backlog online. You could spend all day being horrified with my stuff.
Yeah, that's incredible. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, thank you very much, Charles Pieper. Have a nice day, people. This is Group Underworld. Have a good day, a terrific day, and wait for more stuff to come. Bye.